Judge asked him if his father is guilty. The boy's answer shocked everyone. Kids and toddlers specifically are known for their brutal honesty. Children are prone to speaking their minds in a no-holds-barred manner, a trait which often leads to surprisingly hilarious results. Constant fighting and stress can cause your children to develop problems like chronic depression or behavioral issues. Often, children whose parents are in unhappy marriages tend to act out or misbehave as a way of expressing their feelings. Narcissistic parenting stunts child development because the narc's needs and desires take precedence over their own child. Stunting the child's development also makes them easier to control for the child. Trying to move towards independence becomes all the treacherous because their lives have been so sheltered and controlled many times. They experience struggles in adulthood that others experienced in childhood. Sheriff's deputies arrested David Anderton the night of March 18, 2018, after a series of 911 calls brought them to a home on Rue Road, Lake Drive in Riverview. In a neighbor's yard, they found Kenyatta Barron, who had been beaten and shot to death inside the Andy home. They later found 9-year-old Ron Yenva Andy, who had been fatally stabbed. The house had been set on fire as smoke billowed. David Andy strolled outside. He endured taser shocks of deputies as he was subdued and arrested. Soon afterward, his then 8-year-old son emerged from the home. The boy had been severely burned, had a collapsed lung and a gaping wound in his belly. "My dad shot my mom," he told deputies, according to the case records. After 3 years of legal back and forth, including some questions about Andy's mental health and brief periods represented by high-profile public lawyers, Andy decided to represent himself in court as he told the judge, he was ready to die like I was murdered a couple of times already before, so I'm cool with being murdered again and coming back like Big. He is claiming self-defense under Florida's standard ground law. Acting as his own lawyer, a double murder defendant opened his death penalty trial by shouting at jurors that he did not attack his girlfriend and disabled daughter. On Wednesday, David Andy specifically cross-examined his son, forcing the 11-year-old to describe exactly how he hurt him. The defendant claimed in a dramatic opening statement that the evidence would reveal some of the most vicious, lying, fabricating fictitious government you've ever seen, gesturing and pacing, and he shouted at one point during Monday's opening, "I look alone, but I'm backed by a mighty God." He claimed the girlfriend, Amelia Andy, attacked their 2 children and that he killed her in self-defense. The killings happened on March 18, 2018, in their home in Rio's Riverview area. Assistant State Attorney Scott Harmon countered that prosecutors would prove Andy wounded Barron with a shotgun, then beat her to death. Harmon also said Andy used a hatchet to kill his 9-year-old daughter, who had cerebral palsy and could not speak, and wounded his son, then ate with a knife. Investigators say Andy also set the house on fire after the attacks. The son survived and testified Wednesday by remote video that he saw his father kill his sister with the hatchet and recalled his mother being shot. During cross-examination, Andy asked his son, "Did I hurt you that night?" The boy responded, "Yes, you stabbed me," his son replied. He also described how his father set fire to the house using gasoline. Investigators say the wounded boy came out of the burning house and described what had happened. The first words came out of the brave boy's mouth. "My daddy killed my mommy," Jack told jurors. Judge Jackie also heard a 911 call from Lucy in which she desperately sought help as Andy yelled in the background. "Okay, David, I'm sorry," she says on the recording. "I'm so sorry. Help me. I can't move my arm. My arm is shot up. David, please." Andy contended that investigators fabricated evidence to implicate him and that his son was coached on what to say. "The evidence is going to show that I love my children," Andy told Jackie. "The evidence will not show you that my son witnessed me beat his mom to death, nor did he witness me shoot his mom. In fact, he didn't witness much at all." The trial is expected to last through the end of next week, and he could get the death penalty if convicted. The children have no mirror to see themselves as loved and worthy. They grew up feeling not good enough or feeling like they are responsible for their parents, which is a very skewed perspective. They either shrink to get by or puff up to get attention. Let me put it this way. I grew up with a covert narc mother. Children who experience parental loss are at a higher risk for many negative outcomes, including mental issues, example, depression, anxiety, somatic complaints, post-traumatic stress symptoms, shorter schooling, less academic success, lower self-esteem, and more sexual risk behaviors. It's utterly heartbreaking to realize that the very people who brought you into this world are tired of you, so tired that they attempted to end your life. It makes it impossibly difficult to be able to live with yourself after that. But it is in those moments that you have to understand that you're living for yourself and not for them. So you need to struggle and you need to survive. It is the feeling of hating yourself because your own family does not think you deserve to live, the need to punish yourself for crimes unknown because your parents hate you. It's in the helplessness of not being able to defend yourself without hurting the very people who raised you, unable to retaliate against them, but not wanting to stay caught in this web of self-loathing. It is about losing yourself every time they hurt you. And then, like a blind person searching in the dark for the only thing that was yours, that feeling of being numb, incapable of feeling. Because when you allow yourself to feel, all that there is your misery. In addition, that detachment from the world as if you have no place to be and nowhere to belong. Children usually cannot cope with this devastating reality. Apart from the grief they go through, the insecurity they experience is as crushing as the grief. As always, when events are too overwhelming, children adopt coping strategies that are harmful. In the end, however, all of this can be averted. If there is an adult around who understands what the child is going through, comforts them, and helps them express and thereby cope with their emotions, then the child can survive without trauma, i.e. without carrying forward unprocessed grief. That is what it really feels like. All you can do is find a way to stay alive until you can escape and start over, discover who you are all over again, and heal the wounds your parents gave you. Unfortunately, the adults around the child will often assume that everything is okay because the child continues to appear okay. Children usually look good on the outside. Andy's defense rested on the fact that his son did not see him shoot the mother, but only heard the shotgun go off. Andy claimed that he killed the mother in self-defense after she killed their daughter and attempted to point out inconsistencies between the son's court testimony and what he told the police in the immediate aftermath of the massacre. Andy was perhaps unsurprisingly found guilty on 2 counts of first-degree murder, although the judge did concede that in another lifetime you would have been an excellent lawyer. In an interview about the unusual legal proceedings, criminal defense lawyer Harry told 10 Tampa Bay, "How many times does a father cross-examine his own son and question his truth and veracity? If you were to take 1,000,000 cases in the jurisprudence system of the United States, it would be less than 1%. In addition, the chances it would happen in a first-degree double homicide case just about never. This girl witnessed something similar. A 15-year-old girl pleaded with her uncle, 'Please don't hurt us,' before he shot dead her entire family. In Houston, a court heard. Cassidy Stay told a Texas court yesterday that she didn't recognize her uncle, Ronald Lee Haskell, when he showed up dressed as a FedEx man to his former sister-in-law's house in July 2014. Prosecutors alleged that Haskell, 39, had stalked his ex-wife's family for 2 days before killing Stephen and Katie Stay and 4 of their 5 children, aged 4 to 14. Cassidy, now 20, who survived being shot in the head, told jurors she begged her uncle, "Please don't hurt us," and then played dead on the floor. Prosecutors allege Haskell wanted to hurt his ex-wife's family after their divorce and hatched a plan in which he traveled from California to Texas to carry it out. Haskell's attorney have said their client admits to the killings but wasn't responsible because he was insane.